Hi, Miss Ravi. How are you? Miss Ravi? Hi.
Hello there. Hello.
Are you good?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
All happiness. How's your afternoon or
Very,
morning?
very well, thank you. Very well
All
indeed. How
right.
are yourself?
Oh, it's hectic, but we're good. We're glad to have you. Uh, we're just waiting for everybody to come in the room, and then
Sure.
once they're in, then you can start. The
Shall I
moderator is
share
gonna
my
introduce you.
screen for the presentation?
Oh yeah, you can share your screen.
Sure.
Okay. Do you mind sharing your presentation so in case you have difficulties, we can show on your behalf?
Um, yeah, sure, that's fine. Let me know if you can see my screen.
All right, just share your screen.
Yeah,
Tell me if you can see Jack. All right. No, happiness. I can see it.
perfect.
All right. No, it's fine. You can share on your side and you can proceed accordingly.
Fantastic. What I will
All
do
right.
is I will send the presentation afterwards for those who wish to have a formal copy and
All
refer
right.
back
No
to it if
problem.
needed.
All right. No problem. Thank you very much, Miss Ravi.
Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers. All right. Miss Ravi, quick
Yes.
one. When you present, please do full screen on your presentation.
Okay, yep, sure.
All right.
I think
Thank
it's on full screen now. I'm not too sure.
Just share again. Let me see. So my tech guys can confirm.
Yep, sure.
Or you want it to fill the entire screen.
Okay, one second. I will just apologies for the technical difficulties. I think it's a method in which I shared the screen. I will just
Okay.
okay.
All right. Happiness. That's better.
Perfect.
All
Fantastic.
right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back from lunch. Again, a very, very difficult session to try and get people back, especially when we're on different floors. However, our speaker is already online and she's waiting for us to be able to give her presentation. So we will get started and hopefully people will trickle in as she's giving the presentation. But yes, we have a presentation right now by Ravi, who will be talking about compliance measurement, and she is from the RICS. She is online, and hopefully she can hear me, and we can get started.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you so much, Ravi. You can go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I think that the topic of the slide that you just mentioned there was not passed on to me. I have a different topic here, but I will nonetheless present anyway, if that's okay with you.
Good, all good, no worries.
Okay, fantastic. So hello everybody. My name is Ravi Kaur, and it's an absolute privilege to be able to address you at the 4th African Valuation Conference. I'm based in the UAE, specifically in Dubai. I sit as an associate director on the valuation advisory team, assessing a multitude of assets for a range of purposes across the Gulf. Just for some housekeeping, I'd just like to mention that there is a dedicated Q&A session at the end. So I think it's best to save any queries for then. Or there is a chat box available, or alternatively, should we run out of time, I'm available on LinkedIn as well. I'm more than happy to answer any specific queries. I just want to add that I also sit on the RICS UAE regional board too. So that's obviously a role that I take on myself within the realm of valuation across the UAE. I've held that role across Qatar as well for 4 years previously. So it's something that I'm quite dedicated towards. And yeah, I hope that you find this presentation very useful. As we look to the theme of this year's conference, we're not just talking about numbers on a page. We're really talking about the foundation of MENA and specifically the African economy. And that is whether it can be a cross-border infrastructure project, perhaps in East Africa, or a REIT listing in Lagos. The trust in those numbers is what allows capital to flow. Specifically, what I want to talk about today is the trinity of trust, is what I call it, and that's governance, ethics, and professional standards. We sometimes see these as administrative burdens, and I really want to challenge that today. They aren't just rules that we have to follow, they're a competitive advantage that differentiates an RICS professional in a crowded and sometimes opaque market, what we see. The global framework, which I've mentioned to the left there, is the anchor of our profession. You can see underneath I've included the RICS Code of Conduct, the IVS, the International Valuation Standards, which form part of the RICS Red Book, and I've also included public interest. We do have a public interest mandate that is a reminder that our work does serve society and not only our clients. This brings me to our context. We're at a pivotal moment for the continent. With the growth of the African continental free trade area, we're seeing an unprecedented need for cross-border transparency. And to attract sustained FDI, we must prove that these markets are not opaque or high risk by default. We must prove this through our work. So specifically in my realm, in our realm, a valuation report is more than just a number. It's a document of economic credibility that allows a potential lender to release capital with confidence, for example. Standard reporting and valuations essentially are the language that allow banks to lend on cross-border assets and are overall allowing that FDI. So I guess, how do we deliver that credibility? And that brings me to the Trinity, which is the governance, essentially the rules, the ethics, which is the mindset, and the professional standards, which is the method. We all know what governance is. These are the rules of the game. It's the oversight, the peer reviews, the firm level compliance, and what essentially keeps us safe. Ethics, this is our internal compass. It's the mindset, It's a strength to stay objective when a client is leaning on you to find a specific value. Professional standards, and this is our method. It's our technical rule book. For us, it's the RICS Red Book. And this essentially ensures evaluation is consistent, transparent, and repeatable. A lot of the time, it can be seen that these three things are administrative burdens or compliance hurdles, but I really want to challenge that today. In a crowded and sometimes fragmented market, these can be your competitive advantage. They're a reason that a client will choose an RICS accredited firm or an RICS accredited valuer over a local firm to complete a valuation or a piece of work, a study. Today, I just, overall what I want to try and do, and my aim for this for all of you, is to briefly look at how to master this Trinity as I call it, not only to protect careers and your own integrity, but also help lead the growth of the real estate sector in Africa. Focusing on governance as a start. I'd mentioned on the previous slide, think of this as a framework that protects you when things go wrong. I'm aware that in Africa there's a unique environment of dual regulation, and many of you answer to the RICS Global Board and the national statutory boards. Governance is not about, well, it is about navigating that intersection without any compromise. But I want to focus on firm level compliance, which is something that I feel quite strongly about. As RICS members, our firms must have these valuation assurance frameworks in place. And this can mean a couple of things. These look like peer reviews. So an example would be never letting reports leave the office or be sent to a client without a second pair of eyes looking at it. Having an appropriate workflow for that, which works from people undertaking the work, writing it up, checking, and then a double check, and obviously the signatories at the end. This comes and stems from our terms of engagement. And as per VPS1 in the Red Book, we must be crystal clear on what we're valuing and what we're not valuing, the inclusions and the exclusions. In many markets, firms are multidisciplinary. And what that might mean is that you, in my realm, certainly come across this before, is you are looking at valuations of property, as an example, that other people within the office can own sometimes, residential valuations, or you have a conflict of interest there, a clear one. And proper governance ensures that there's a clear information barrier between those departments in order to protect objectivity. So that's a light example that I used, but there's been many instances, and it's something that happens frequently across the region, across MENA, across Africa. And it's not something that we're not used to seeing on a week-by-week basis. And that then leads me on to ethics, which is the valuer's moral compass, but it should be everybody. It's obviously everybody's moral compass who abides by the RICS. This is the heart of our profession. We can have all the rules in the world, but without ethics, they're hollow. So standards are easy when data is perfect, but when we're working across MENA and Africa, we face an issue of data scarcity. And I'm sure many of you have struggled to find reliable data sources, which leads me on to referring to the RICS professional standards on comparable evidence. Just as an example, the hierarchy of evidence must be followed. As it mentions, a confirmed transaction, for example, for evaluation is gold. It's a valid data point and should be used as a data point. However, we sometimes find ourselves having to ethically weigh asking prices when assessing overall value. And off that, I just want to remind ourselves of the 5 ethical standards, something that we should remember from our RICS exams and something we should abide by day to day in our careers. Acting with integrity. This means being honest, straightforward, transparent in all professional work. It also means maintaining independence even when under commercial pressure. And as I mentioned in the last slide, it means declaring and managing conflicts of interest early on in the process. Secondly, always providing a high standard of service. This is appropriate scope, methodology, and level of investigation to undertake the work. It's also providing evidence-based opinions, not assumptions that are driven by timelines or deadlines. It also includes providing clear reasoning that can withstand any audit, review, or any scrutiny should any work, I hope not, go to litigation. Acting in a way that promotes trust within the profession. This means being transparent with assumptions, limitations, and methodology. This means giving credit to data sources and collaborators. Treating others with respect. This is respecting different professional opinions, even under pressures such as time. It means being culturally aware in negotiations and site inspections. And it means communicating assumptions, limitations, and any uncertainty early on in the process. Respect is not compliance. It doesn't mean a client does not, respect is not, what I'm trying to say is respecting a client does not mean agreeing with them overall. And professionally challenging them is not disrespect. But why does this matter? It means that trust grows through respectful disagreements. It means that something has been vetted fully and fleshed out. And it means that you can come to a solution overall. Strong markets need collaboration and not intimidation. How we treat our peers shapes credibility overall. And number 5, taking responsibility. The biggest threat we face across the region is client pressure. And I can probably speak for most when I say that we've all been there. It can be a developer or a bank, any form of client saying, I need to hit X value for the loan to value ratio work. I need to achieve this valuation for this sale to go through. I need to get this completed at this price. This is what the assumption should be. I suggest this. Here's the data that I found off my back. That's something that I'm giving to you. Here's the data. Ethics is the ability to say no and challenge that. And on that, just under the RICS rules of conduct, our primary duty is not to the person paying the fee, it's to the public interest. So if we inflate a value just to please a client, we aren't just breaking a rule. In a way, that could be a start of a bigger thing, in a way, destabilizing the market. And should that happen frequently over time, that affects crescendos. And we're all signing reports. Your signature becomes your brand in this field of work. So, you know, once you lose your reputation for objectivity, you lose your foresight. In a digital world where reports can be scrutinized and come across your desk years later, your integrity is your best policy. And trust me, I've been there, where my own reports from many years ago have come across my own table, and I've looked at them again and not had any questions, but it's been a full circle moment, as they call them in this day and age, that you see your old pieces of work that you move on from, mentally and physically, come across the table, and you're revisiting it, and it's there again. And this brings me on to looking forward. In 2026, we can't not talk about standards without talking about ESG. ESG being environmental, social, and governance. Investors globally are now looking to understand what carbon risks are of portfolios, how energy efficient assets are, and as valuers, we're being asked, what's the green premium for this LEED certified office? Or more importantly, this building is derelict. What is the discount for this inefficiency? Alongside that, we've also got the age of AI With that comes AVMs. And the ethical loop that brings around is our duty. We have to remain aware. We can't always hide behind AI and an algorithm. And with that, if an AI gives you a value, as a valuer, you're still the one having to give that ultimate professional judgment, and you're the one responsible for justifying it. I advise against that unless it's sophisticated AVM approved by your firm. But you are the one with the professional judgment at the end of the day, and that itself is not quantifiable through a cost. That is priceless. We can use these tools to augment our expertise, but we mustn't use them to replace our judgment. I really like this quote. Trust is the currency of valuation. I think that this in itself reiterates that governance keeps us safe, standards keep us consistent, and ethics keep us honest. Standards are not a burden as such. They're a mark of equality that distinguishes an RICS professional and a member firm. So as you continue through this conference and into tomorrow, I think there's another day of the conference that you have, I really encourage that you see yourself not as just only an RICS professional, but as a guardian of that profession and protecting its integrity and your integrity. The growth of the nation, the growth of the wider region really depends on the credibility of our profession and upholding these global standards to drive the maturity in these markets. I want to thank you for your time today. I'm happy to take any questions or any conversations from the floor. As I mentioned, this presentation is largely what all of you do know or must know, or people who may be in the crowd. I'm not physically there, unfortunately, who may be sitting their RICS assessment in the future. This is what will become imperative to your profession as you move through your careers. I'm happy to take any questions from the floor, should there be any, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Ravi. Just trying to see if there are any questions on the floor.
Sure.
Doesn't look like it. Clearly, we're all ethical here. Thank you so much, Ravi.
No problem at
We'll then
all.
go-
I'm happy to take any questions via LinkedIn or via email afterwards as well.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks. A few more minutes for you guys to mingle as we try and figure out the program. Our next speaker is running a little bit late, so please don't move, but you can talk amongst yourselves. Just give us 5 minutes. Thank you. We are back. Short interlude. A short commercial break. We're not used to those these days. So I just needed to give you one. So we have a session that will be moved. The panel discussion that is supposed to be happening after this presentation is going to occur right now. We do have Philip online who's going to start by introducing the speakers, and then we're going to have two presentations, and then after that we will have our second last session of the day. But yes, we will start with Philip, just making sure that he's online and is audible. Philip, can you hear us? Philip? Seem to have technical difficulties. We don't know if you can hear us, but we can't hear you. We can see you moving, but we can't hear you. We'll just give them a few minutes to get it going, but he should be online shortly. While we are still on an ad break, I don't know if you guys have taken a moment to just take a walk around the room, but we do have some people who are selling African jewelry and such. Please just go give them a hello, hi, maybe give them some of your currency to assist with our economy. Otherwise, we do have our sponsors who are also around in the room. Get to know them a little bit more, get to understand what they do, and yeah, mingle with them. Not now, please don't stand up. When we do have a break shortly.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes, we can, finally. Thank you so much.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for that.
No worries. Thank you, Philip. You can take it away.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And because of this time of the day, I guess there's a lot of possibility that it's going to be very difficult to concentrate. I'm Philip. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm only going to introduce two speakers today. But before I introduce them, I just quickly want to say thank you to the organizers. It's been an incredible valuation conference so far. And to me, I really like it when things come together. If you can imagine, when you do a valuation, you start with the income cap, for instance, and you do the income capitalization method and you get to a value, you put that to one side. And then when you start with the DRV or your comparable sales and you put that to one side, and then you do your DRV or your market approach, it's always exciting when those values actually comes together. And to me, it was almost like with this conference up to this point, it's just coming together. And I really want to say congratulations to everyone that was a part of it. You are doing a very, very good job. Okay. Then the second thing is I've been asked to do the introduction to the topic digital transformation and data standards, the future foundation of global valuation ecosystem. Now, when I was thinking of it, to me, there are four pillars in the valuation ecosystem, and I'm going to highlight those briefly, and I think that will set the standard or put on the table what the discussion will follow on. But I also like puzzles, and I don't know about all of you, but to me, there's a correlation between building a puzzle and doing a valuation. If my wife may not agree with me because she doesn't like puzzles, but there's a specific methodology that you need to apply. So when you're in front of a 3,000 or 2,000 or whatever pieces puzzle, you first need to start sorting the blocks, and that will actually that would be your first step. And then you will start sorting the colors, and that would be your second step. Now, similar to valuations, you are taking all of that, call it chaos, all the data, all the instruction, the market, the property, the dynamics of that property. It's almost like it's a puzzle, a box full of puzzle pieces, and you still don't know where it's going to fit in. So building a puzzle to me is similar than that valuation. It's really to follow that methodology. Now, it's amazing, this valuation conference, how the small pieces actually comes together to set this bigger puzzle where the valuation sits within the global valuation ecosystem. Now, if you think of an ecosystem, I think the way I would explain it to kindergarten, not that to say that you are kindergarten, but sorry, I do my presentations when I do the valuation discussion hour. It's more graphical. I like pictures. Maybe that's why then I understand it. To me, it's a fish tank, an ecosystem. And within that fish tank, if you correlate that or reflect that on the valuation ecosystem, there's some similarities. And first of all, I just want to go to the next slide. There's the standards. Those are the four pillars that actually forms this global valuation ecosystem. The standards, which would set the boundaries, and that actually keeps everything safe within a parameter. Then you get the data, and that's everything in that pond, everything in that ecosystem. And as valuers, but also as professionals, are actually there to keep that system healthy, to keep that data healthy. So you know the whole thing of garbage in, garbage out, that's the same principle. If we allow garbage in this pond, it's actually going to cause the fish to die. So, and that's where we as professional judgment professionals come in. It's not only to provide a credible value that the world or institutions or whoever wants that value wants to place reliance on, but it's also for those decision makers to actually to be able to say, no, but we've got this value from a professional valuer, so we can place reliance on it. Otherwise, we have to ask, no, okay, let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 valuations, and then based on our requirements, we pick one. And that's not the way it is meant to be. We get one valuer, we know he works within those standards, he uses data that is credible, and when he's using AI or whatever software, he's actually putting the correct data in that system, and that produces the value. And that takes me to the last pillar, which is trust. Because within this ecosystem, there needs to be a trust relationship, not only between the valuer and the client, but also the valuer between the valuer and the valuer between the real estate agent and the asset manager between the valuer. We can't start if the asset manager tells you no, but the income for a solar plant is X. We as valuers, yes, we have to critically assess that, but we have to trust what other professionals are telling us. Okay, so those are the five pillars for global valuation ecosystem. Okay, so today's session, there's really a critical question. What happens if those 4 pillars, when digital transformation rewrites the rules of how data is gathered, standardized, and then used? And how in Africa, where data is really scarce, how do we actually, how are we going to go about that going forward? Okay, so the 2 speakers, I've never met them. I would have loved to be there with you guys in that boardroom and having lunch with you. There's a few people that I know. I would have liked to meet more of the people that's on the training platform, and also the Kura and Varats that did the MSc with me. But so today I'm going to introduce to you Mr. Kanyeda from Malawi, and then also Mr. Maye, and he is from Botswana. So Mr. Kanyeda, he is from Malawi, as I said. He is a property valuer. He is registered surveyor, and he is with Knight Frank in Malawi. And he has been in the valuation field, I don't know the exact number of years, but before with Knight Frank, he was with Broll, and then also Real Estate Talk Malawi. And then Mr. Maye, he's been in the valuation profession for more than 25 years. He's in Botswana, and then he's also the founder of the Value.com, which is an AI-driven platform for valuations. Welcome to this discussion, or welcome to this meeting, and I really hope you enjoy the discussion further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Philip. The common question that I've been subjected to since I got here yesterday, is it your first time here? I'm like, yes, it's my first time. Are you scared? I'm like, no, I'm not shaking, but I got scared the first day I got the invitation. But I'm glad that I'm here. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Atsai Kanyenda. I'm from Malawi. I've been tasked to take the aspect of digital transformation, market analysis, and data standards, the foundation for a global valuation ecosystem. I'm going to introduce you to the aspect of building from where Doctor talked about border cross service, where we could be able to go in different countries, different regions as professionals to offer the same kind of service. Building from there, what do we need? Again, we need Data Lake Africa, a centralized system where both of us, we could be able to obtain information for different regions, for different countries, for different locations. However, before we go into the details of that, let me bring you to the background of where we're coming from as valuers. The question that we should be asking ourselves is, how are we operating in our different respective regions as valuers, as professionals? We've been in practice, we can agree that we've been in practice for over than 2 decades. In those decades, we've seen rise in demand for valuation services, where different stakeholders, government institutions, government agencies, private institutions, that are demanding valuation services. So there's an increase in demand for valuation services. However, we should understand that we've got an obligation that we owe these clients a duty of care. So if we owe our clients a duty of care, how do we provide the duty of care to our respective clients? The aspect of ensuring that valuations are well researched and supported by reliable market data. But again, let's give ourselves a question. How are we operating? Where are we coming from in these different regions? How are we sourcing data? How are we finding information? Is it a structured information? If it's not a structured information, where is the problem? How do we deal with that problem? So our converging here, discussing, we should be able to find solutions for those different regions, for those different locations. How do we move forward? Mind you, data is the primary thing for all kinds of services that we're providing in the aspect of valuation. Do you think we're doing a good job in our respective region? Let's all of us reflect in how we are doing in our regions. We'll find that most of us were operating in an environment where there's data scarcity. Most of our data are unstructured data. So how do we move forward? This is just a typical pictorial aspect of the kind of environment that we're operating in our different environments. There's scarcity of information. Now, where there's scarcity of information, our valuations are questionable. Our valuations are not reliable. Remind you, the valuations that we're doing is got a very, very impact to the economy of the respective countries that we're serving. Once we provide unreliable information to bank institutions, to government, to whoever is tasking us to do the assignment, we are impacting or we are affecting the right economy of that respective region or country. Here's another aspect which shows the kind of environment that we are really operating in. Good for our friends or colleagues here. You've got Lightstone, you've got roads, publications, where you can easily at a click of a button, you've got the type of information that you can get. But let's check our brothers from different regions or sisters from different regions. How are they operating? If you ask them, they'll tell you that we are operating in an unstructured aspect where most of the data that we're using is an unstructured data. Maybe to use that statement is an understatement. Let me use it in this way. The unstructured data is unstructured. So you can imagine using unstructured data, which is unstructured. There's a solution that we need to explore across the regions. How do we solve this problem together? Not just one person, not just for one region, all of us as Africa, moving forward. Remember, we are tackling the aspect of the foundation for a global valuation ecosystem, where Philip tackled an issue of standards, data, professional judgment, and trust. How do we deal with that ecosystem? It calls for a cooperation, coordination, and a collection for all of us. That's where we need to understand how do we embrace technology. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Data Lake Africa. Data Lake Africa is an aspect which we are introducing to provide data across Africa, across the regions. Allow me to call you, open your data on your phones. You can type that www.datalake.africa so that maybe we can move together. You can type www.datalake.africa.com. Would you be able to show on the screen www.datalink.africa.com? All right, thank you. Have we accessed it? Are we there? Now, what you see on your phone is an aspect that we're trying to build across Africa for all the regions that we're serving. This is just a structure, a platform that we need to start from for the continent that we're serving. So the institutions, the regulatories from different regions, these are the discussions we need to start doing now for the future profession of this region. However, remember we're serving Christ. So the aspect is not only for us to provide information to valuers to find information in the system. We have to take a step further, providing insights to our respective clients, the market trends, the market insights. So from DataLink Africa, we are taking a step further to enhance market insights provision. We have piloted this in Malawi, and after piloting it, we had to go further to produce what we call the Malawi Real Estate Market Intelligence Report. We launched this last year. I championed it. You can see there is a quote which says the true value of a property is it just in its price, but in the market intelligence driving the investment decision. Investors who harness data and insight transform uncertainty into productive opportunity. What we're trying to do is we are trying to remove uncertainty from the angle or from the perspective of investors. That's the way we have to go. So this is just a pictorial view of it, and then part of the report. Fellow practitioners, fellow valuers across the regions, remember, in my conclusion, I would like to say, we owe Africa a noble selfless service together. If we dodge these kind of discussions, then what are we building for our continent? It's high time we start now sitting down and considering the whole continent. From the challenges that we're facing in different regions, how do we move forward to provide the solutions that we need to provide? Next time sitting here, we should be able to say, last year, we sat down, we discussed, we brought ideas, we have now implemented effectively. So reaching this far, I've got the hard copies. The hard copies, there are 4 of the Malawi Real Estate Market Intelligence Reports. I would like to dedicate these hard copies to regulatory bodies or institutions, surveying institutions, about 4 of them. Allow me the first copy to give it to Zimbabwe Board of Valuers, Dr. Mike. You can come and grab your copy, sir. The Institute of Ghana Institution of Surveyors, any representative from Ghana? A representative from Botswana? Ah, I forgot. And the last one for Doctor, I promise that I'll give her a copy. Can you please come get your copy? Fellow practitioners, reaching this far, I'd like to leave you on a note that you should be able to remember wherever you leave this room. Remember, we owe Africa a noble service together. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I think valuers are very, very, serious people. So I'd like everyone to have a laugh, momentarily. Doesn't matter what you are laughing at, but let's just laugh, Let's break that, seriousness. We've been talking about data, digital. At least I was introduced digitally, by the man who was online. That's digital introduction, proving that indeed digitally things work. But the problem with data which is presented digitally, it can be corrupted somewhere. You see, he was calling me Maye. See now, that is data which is corrupted. So, in the village, I'm called Maje Maje. If you don't know me, that means you failed your valuation test today. So those who know me, you already have gotten your digital certificate. Yeah, I'll be talking about, something that, it's always discussed, data, digital. And I'm going to correct some of, misinformation which has been, made by, previous presenters, starting yesterday, especially when they speak about Africa. You know, Ghana, South Africa is not Africa. So even yesterday they were saying north of Pretoria, you know, like even at least they're giving us go Rustenburg, you know, I'll take Rustenburg. Data, you know, everywhere. It's a very, very challenging thing. Whether you digitize it, whether you write on a piece of paper, put it in an Excel, people will always tell you that. I mean, I even laughed yesterday. There was a discussion where they were talking about the data from, you know, deeds in South Africa. They still say you get that data, you still have to clean it up. You see, so it's not a given that since it's you know, in a digital format, yeah, it is you know, true information. Rode yesterday, you know, said that he doesn't know how we determine value, you know, in the rest of Africa. I think the good professor there spoke earlier on that, you know, there's these people who even go to Inyanga and say, no, make sure that this person, you know, is about to arrest me, you know, is soft. So even us, when we value, we do the same thing, you know. We pray to the Inyangas or, you know, guide me on the value of this shopping mall. And we get a value, you know. Eventually somebody pays that price, you know. So it's very, you know, interesting that sometimes where we think we have got the right type of information, we think the other guys don't have the right type of information. I always engage with you know, valuers from South Africa, especially from the banks. You know, they will argue about, you know, our comparables, our inputs and everything. But if you look at South Africa, let's say right now, there's this thing called a plot. We call it plot. In South Africa, they call it an F. The other earlier on, somebody says to me, now I'm going to give you a stand. You see, that means if now we are to argue that, okay, whatever the, you know, names that we've used are incorrect, then we'll never close evaluation. But both of them are correct. It's just where you sit, how you use you know, data. The lady who was presenting earlier on from RICS, she spoke of one thing that once a price is paid, that is golden. That's what guides a evaluation. And some of the deals or transactions that happens in Africa are not recorded the way deals are recorded here. But we know, you know, that information do circulate. And now you find that if you pressure me to say, okay, the data that I have is not, you know, correct data, it creates a, you know, a problem on its own, because you are doubting my approach, or you are doubting that market. And it's a very, very operating market, stable market. I mean, you look at a market like Zimbabwe, for example, it's a big market in dollar terms, and it's solid market, but information, you know, I don't think it's stored, you know, very well, but there are so many doctors coming out of Zimbabwe, you know, so that is something that we need to really, you know, appreciate. And earlier when I was, you know, this man from Malawi, he only calmed me down by giving me this book, you know, because he has disappointed me. I thought he would speak longer so that I have a shorter time. And I was just going to keep quiet, you know, and say thank you. But I have to speak, you know. he made you guys or all of us go on a website. And me, I wasn't going to do that, but now I'm jealous. So I'm going to make everyone even call my website also. So guys, if you can take your mobile phone, and I'm going to be clear with the data that you input there. And you type THE, no, WW, no, not WW, THEVALUA.com. Yeah, I'm not a valuer, I am the valuer. THEVALUA.com. Don't write on a piece of paper. Write on the mobile. We're in an advanced market. So don't embarrass me. Paul, don't show where we are from the village, right? Okay. Basically, I think having had this pressure from different quarters that, Africa, especially north of Pretoria, doesn't have data. I think we've been compelled. That's why even the gentleman from Malawi has taken the matter into their hands to, develop solutions which, give accurate data. I mean, if you look at the valuer, we have got a real estate market information of all the sales in Botswana. Before the war in Dubai, I was there. And now I was, sitting with one of the real estate companies. And, I was telling them about this innovation of ours in Botswana. I was telling them we have stored, 6,000 parcels, 6,000 sales, which happened since 2023. And, I was just shocked. Then the guy looks at me and said, over like at the 3-year period, and then they show me on the Dubai platform, live. That day alone, more than 10,000 parcels or transactions happened. So you can imagine, as it's 6,000 over like a 3-year period, and in another market where data is, live, it's over a day's period, So good people, the reason why I was saying you should go there, there's where it says contacts. If you can fill in your details there, we will reach out to you, because this year I'm making sure that everyone goes to Botswana in October. And the reason why you should go in October, because it's hot. That's when you'll experience Botswana and know exactly how Botswana is. That we work within a 45-degree temperature. Not I heard that Durban is warm and people from Durban can't come to Joburg because it gets too cold. But go to Botswana, then you'll know how the temperature is. In closing, I would want to correct one of the data that came out of Remashilo earlier on, where you were saying, in Botswana, if you visit us, in the home, people make sure they will always be disappearing, one by one. And you are just sitting there. No. They don't disappear. I want you to pay attention. This is how it happens. So the man of the house will be sitting, in a chair, and the wife, she's in the house, and the pot now, she's dishing. So the door is open. So this guy, he will be guiding the proceedings. you know, he will tap, you know, maybe once he said, so the wife is dishing according to the taps. And then when he says, you know, now she stops, you know, so what Mashilo was telling you wasn't true, because he doesn't have reliable data. I'm giving you reliable data about, you know, what could happen in Africa. And ladies and gentlemen, in closing, digital and data. Oh, Mr. Mashilo, you had your name be called out. I was just correcting what you had said earlier on that, no, in Botswana, the gentleman, he will be like tapping his foot like this so that the wife can give you 2 spoons, you know? And then when it's my meal now, you know, I'll be tapping 5 times and, you know, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I think the importance of data, you know, will remain and will still be important for many years to come. And we have adopted digital solutions to try and address some of these, you know, challenges, which I think our peers in South Africa have been showing, you know, off to us. You know, you guys don't have this and that, you know. But we, you know, we've been taking it like, you know, gentlemen. You know, we haven't been, I mean, scared to come to South Africa. I was worried. The gentleman from Malari was scared to come here. You should have told me. I could have flown there and, you know, brought you here, show them, or no. Now I'm not scared to come into South Africa. Paul, are you scared? Yeah. No, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, the only thing I still want to close with, we go back again. Valuers, you are always serious. Can we laugh again? All right.
Thank you to our speakers. You know you like the stage, but you can leave the stage. All right, our program is changing slightly again. We will now have the presentation on valuation risks, but before that, we just need to do some technical adjustments. So in the interim, I just want to remind you all of the masterclasses that will be happening tomorrow. The exciting site visits. I'm sure Mashilo did mention this at the beginning of the conference, but we will be going to Mainland Shopping Center, as well as F&B. They are limited spaces. So for F&B, there are 55 spaces, whereas for Mainland, there are 50 spaces. Currently, I'm not going to say the numbers that I've already signed up for those sites, but if you do look at your tag, there is a QR code there. Please just follow the links to register because everybody's moving as soon as possible so that you can be able to get your spot if you would like to go to any of the masterclasses. But yes, I just need to check with my tech guys if we are ready for the next presentation. Theo, can you hear us? We'll try again, Theo. Hello. Maybe that was the one. Theo? One more time. Theo, please say hello. The people are waiting.
Okay, how are you? Yes, yes,
Oh,
I'm here.
perfect.
Can you hear me, please?
Oh, perfect. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. You can take us away. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
yes. Okay, thank you. Can I start?
Please do. Please do. We're all waiting for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Teudi Mahele. I'm from Lesotho. I am the government valuer and the president of the Lesotho Institute of Valuers. And I'm going to present to you the topic on land titling. And can I please start sharing my, and this is, well, let me not forget to tell you that it's my first time to participate in this great conference. And then I'll be sharing with you my screen where I've,
Can you please share your screen? Then you'll be able to.
I'm
move
trying
through
to
your slides.
share here. Okay. Then,
If not, we can do it for you on our side.
yeah, can you see it?
Okay, we'll do it on our side for you.
Can you see the screen now?
No, we cannot. We're going to try to share
It's
it from
not
our
shared.
side.
Okay. Okay. Can I just a moment, please? I'll be back. Can you just give me some few sec?
Sure.
I'm really sorry to.
We can see your presentation now, so you can go ahead. And we are sharing it for you.
You can see my presentation.
Yes, we can. We can. So you'll just let us know when you want to move to the next slide.
Okay. Well, the foundation for land titling is the foundation for economic growth and security. So here I'm presenting the analysis of benefits, case study of Lesotho, and the Land Administration Authority, which is the newly established institution that governs the transactions and that issues the leases here in Lesotho under the Land Act 2010. The land titling as a process here in Lesotho, it is the registering of property rights for individual, families, and companies. But before one can get a lease here from Lesotho, you have to go through the allocating authorities, which is the village development councils. And the development councils are composed by the area chief, the land use planner, physical planner, and some other members there. Then the purpose of this land titling, if I go on, this is establishment of the clear ownership and that reduces property disputes. The title document as a legal certificate confirms ownership and outlines the following: the specific holder, the clear boundaries of the property, and any key encumbrances or legal claims that might arise against the land. Then that also provides the verifiable proof of ownership, reducing risks of forced eviction. Also includes official surveyed diagrams and recorded in a cadastral system. These are the core benefits of the security. I mean the land titled certificate. The definitive registered titles prevent encroachment and trespassing. The disputes are resolved easily using official land plans if the title is registered. It also simplifies inheritance and sales. Ownership can sell by transferring a single title instead of a complex historical document. Then the core benefits and finance and investment when the title is registered. It gives the holder access to formal credit. The registered titles serve as a reliable collateral. It lowers the risk for banks. It improves mortgage market access and replaces high interest informal loans. Informal loans where somebody is not, doesn't have a registered title, he cannot have access to the credit. It also increases the property investment. It encourages building expansions for the holder, agricultural improvements. Example, the irrigation schemes. It also boosts marketability. Titles are easier to sell or rent to non-acquaintances. It also minimizes costs related to defending land possessions. Now, if I'm coming directly into the introduction of the land administration in Lesotho, which is my case study, it has the following roles as a one-stop shop for land services here in Lesotho. The key functions of LAA, which is the Land Administration Authority, as you all can see there, it is the registration and deeds. Okay, well, I am very sorry. I'm very sorry that I'm not telling when I'm moving on to the next slides. I'm very sorry, and my apologies for that inconvenience. I'm very, very sorry. I'm moving on now to the institution that governs land matters as well, but which is vested with powers to work on, to deal with issuance of leases, and works on the transactions, where if one wants to transfer the lease, if one wants to sublease, he goes to LAA and apply for whatever transaction he wants to engage on. Surveying and mapping also is one of the roles of the LAA. Technical recording of boundaries, also the dispute resolution, mediation and handling inheritance transfers to prevent legal deadlocks. When you get to LAA, you find there's one section which is equipped with lawyers, where they will sit if there's any dispute in land before one can just maybe move on to the courts of law. They have that section where they will resolve and get to the common understanding of the parties in dispute. And can I just please, I'm moving on to the next slide. Valuation and economic impact. This involves the collateralization, which is the modern leasehold titles are now accepted by the banks, unlike the old Form C titles. I think it's worth mentioning that here in Lesotho, if you have a parcel of land allocated to you by the authorities that I've mentioned earlier on in this presentation, they will issue you with a certificate. That certificate is not yet registered, but it's a Form C. That is why here we have the Form C titles. It is some form of certificate which evidences ownership, that one has been allocated that parcel of land. But that certificate is inferior to the lease. That's why after having that certificate, you have to approach the LAA, apply for the lease, the more secure title to your parcel of land, the one that you can bond, the one that you can develop further, access finance, and so on. Then the revenue, the LAA is also, authorized to collect the ground rents, which is the revenue generations. It collects the ground rents for the leased parcel of land based on an improved land value to fund their services. LAA also charges stamp duty and transfer duty on property transactions based on the values given by the valuers. That means if you want to transfer your piece of land to a certain somebody, you have to go there, both of you fill in the forms, the application forms, but with submission of your forms, you have to attach the value which would have been given by the valuers, where it will divulge what is the value of your property, and the calculations of the stamp duties and transfer duties are based on that. Now, the third point is that there's a fair compensation, which is also based on the registered title. This title ensures owners to receive market-based compensation during government expropriation for the infrastructure. That means for construction of roads, if one has a lease, then that person stands a better chance to get a fair compensation of his land, because his rights would have been clearly defined on the lease, and also that definition, or maybe that, as we said earlier on, that the lease would have to be issued when there are surveyed diagrams and the plans and so on. So that title would have a clear indication as to how much or to what extent one holds his title. Then I'll have to move on to another slides. This is now the going on challenges. Oh, I'm very sorry, because I think I have missed one slide where you have where I had to tell you the benefits, or maybe I'm trying to check Land administration. Okay, yes, the impact on property transactions. I think I've skipped that slide where I had to talk about. This is under the introduction, the benefits that we gained, the country gained after introduction of LAA, where the previous Land Act was totally repealed, and there was that introduction of LAA. The benefits that we gained under the introduction of LAA was the improved efficiency, where the registration time, the registration of the lease, you see in the previous act, you would have to take a year or so before you can get the lease. But for ever since LAA was introduced in 2010, then the registration time was dropped, probably by 67%, whereby previously you would have to take 522 days, close to a year, before one can register the lease. Then with the introduction of LAA, you just take only 170 days. Then also the mortgage processing time dropped by 80%, down to 21 days. Because now the bureaucratic process was seriously slashed down. Also, the LAA increased activity again on the registered titles, where the transaction would no longer take a long time to be approved. The formal transfers grew from 165 from the days that maybe 2010, from 165, which means that the number of transfers registered then in the year 2010, when LA was introduced, was only 160. Was before it was introduced, it was 165 on that year. Then after the introduction in 2019, it grew up to 1,075 just in 2019, which means we realized as the country the benefits of introducing that. And that means when that increases, it means more jobs for the valuers. Because now when the transfers increase, that means the valuers get more work to do for the institution, for the LAA. That means the valuers do a lot of work then for this institution. It means economically this institution played the key role in increasing the economic activity in the country. Now, the third point is the social impact on women's rights, which means the 2010, previously I have to mention that previously, before the introduction of 2010, I can have, or one can only have his names, the lease under his names alone. But for the introduction, say maybe the gentleman can just register his title under his names. And that also used to involve a lot of, or creates a lot of problems, because when the man dies, then the lady who's supposed to inherit the title, then there was a problem clearly, because the family would have to be included in deciding that. Men could also transact on their own, and that means, you see, it was one-sided. Now with the introduction of 2010 Act, it introduced the joint titling, because their names, if they are married, their names would appear on the title. Both of them, you see, their names would appear on the title, the husband and wife. Then with that, the transaction, or maybe the issuance of leases also increased tremendously, because we had over 80% of new leases now including women as sole or joint owners. Having said that, then and I shouldn't forget to tell you that also, that the signing of the lease document, it is also signed by both parties. No one is allowed to sign alone on the lease. If the man is married, the wife would have to be there, and the signature of the wife would have also to be there. So it is a good title indeed, which increased the trust and maybe protected women as well, the protected women's rights as well. Having said that, I will have really to move on to another slide. I was on the slide on impact, or on the impact on property transactions here in Lesotho under the issuance of the LAA, and I think that one also, as I have moved on, then I was to move on to the last slide, which is ongoing challenges and conclusion. Now, here in Lesotho, there's an interesting case because there's no law that governs valuation in Lesotho. That means we don't have, the practice is not controlled, I can say. We only have introduced the valuers got to get together and form an institution, at least to give the consumers of our profession the trust and credibility, especially as they work with the financial institutions here at home. We really tried to convince the political powers to introduce the council from 2016, but to no avail. This means that we have a problem. We have a challenge of the political will in introducing the Valuers Council here in Lesotho. Also, there's a persistence of formal inheritance due to perceived costs, fees, and taxes. Then there's a shortage also of qualified and skilled property valuers. Here in Lesotho, while we can say, even if you are a QS, you can do the valuation. You can also do the valuation also as the architect, as long as you can just put on the price, which is not even supported by anything, just that price. And we all know as valuers that when the QS are basing themselves on the unit in place method, the valuer can interpret the various types of methods to arrive at the value. So this clearly says we have a serious challenge as the country. But however, I'll still mention that we are not sitting just like that and doing nothing. We are still trying, even though to try to protect the market from the small market that we have here from from these intruders. But the problem also, indeed, we need to protect the profession from these intruders. We need to protect our profession from these intruders. It's a very serious case here where everybody can come and put a market. And, you know, I can say we are very lucky that we don't even have the serious court cases where the property value for somebody has been misinterpreted because it's been done by somebody who is not qualified, somebody who hasn't even gone for formal training. But in conclusion, I can say, as the country, we gained a lot from the introduction of LAA and the introduction of the enactment of the 2010 Land Act. And in conclusion, regarding the land title, I can say land title is a powerful driver of growth, but is most effective when paired with legal reforms and functioning, transparent land markets. I think at this juncture, I would also mention that also in conclusion, though not in our slide, that I've heard one of the presenters there who was mentioning the problem of the customary land holdings. I can say here we still have such challenges, but we are trying as a country. And to this end, so far, I would say, thank you so much for this opportunity afforded to us as Lesotho Institute of Valuers. Well, I thank you.
Thank you so much. Round of applause, please. Round of
Thank you so
applause.
much.
Thank you for the insightful presentation. We will now be moving to a 15-minute break, 1-5, no longer than 1-5. It will be served, as you know, in that area. Take the time to mingle, refresh yourselves, stretch the legs, and we'll be back for the final presentation, which will be our keynote presentation. Thank you so much.
And now you want to scream as I have a problem. Yeah. Select it. Let's have let's see again. How well? In the middle of the presentation, in a by change by move at 3 o'clock. Hell, jwale ka ba le problem ngwanaka. Ka ha ne bana le presentation ya ka mola on the screen. Jwale ha ke re ke share. Hey, come on, ha ntse ke move out to the ntho. Jwale nna ke bala presentation ya ka mona on my side, but ka nqane ka kwana ba ne ntse ba che ba ile ba re bana le ha bana problem ya ho e bona, so nka nna ka tswela pele. Ya ba jwale ke sitwa ho share screen seno sa ka mona mmoho le bona go utlwe ke tineile.
How could you not? Fela go bontse ga bana na o shara.
Mona a ke re mo ba entse ka Zoom a uswa ka.
Kang.
Halla ba entse ka Zoom jwale. Ya ba nthina. Nane re ntse ka Teams. Team e hlaha mona I select the tab to share. Ai ke jile era e bohloko but ka ha ne re ba romelletse ka ha ne re ba romelletse.
Can we have everybody moving back? We need to finish as on time so that they can prepare for the